Hi, everyone. It's Sarlene from Beacons of Balance, and I'm here at my wonderful co-host, Joanne.
Hi, everyone.
And we have a very special guest today. Welcome, Dr. Spyrison. He'll give us a lot to think about, an amazing phenomenon called crop circles that have been on this planet for as far back as 1678. Wow. I wonder what
Or
we looked
before.
like. I wonder what we looked like then. that we know of, right? Like you said, even before. So, Joanne, tell us about Dr. Wonderful
Wow,
Dr.
I'm so excited to have Steve here with us. This is a real privilege. I've known Steve for at least 20 years. I mean, you've spoken all over the United States at so many conferences. You were a guest speaker at my conference, Lightworkers Conference, I don't know how many times. And Steve he's not only is he an author of several books, In God's Grace and Daughter of the Frost, and I think you're writing a book now, but Steve can cover any topic from NDEs, mythology, Atlantis, Lemuria, prophecy, Bible codes, you name it. But today, I am so pumped because we are going to hear about crop circles, Arlene.
I know, I
And
can't wait.
He was a specialist in this area. And I
This
know
is-
there's one crop circle that I want to for sure cover. It's my favorite.
So regarding crop circles, there's been so much controversy about this, like who or how these intricate, I can't even say the word, designs have been carved so meticulously in wheat fields globally. Many have come forward claiming to make these by bending the wheat over with boards or some type of instrument. But to make such detailed designs overnight seems impossible. I mean, I'm sure there's some that have played around with that, right, Steve? But what's your theory on this for us?
Well, crop circles, the indigenous have recognized them for thousands of years. We have a newspaper article going back to 1678 that supports the crop circles. Certainly, at least 20% of the designs are hoaxes or ads or people just joking around. Possibly up to 80% might be genuine. One of the when we get into the PowerPoint, I can show some of the signs. The key sign is that if you take any crop circles appear in wheat fields, but any kind of field or grass, trees, sometimes desert floor. But if you take any kind of stalked plant, you try to bend it 90 degrees. Anything, corn, wheat, grass, you can't. You will snap it.
Right.
But crop circles are bent 90 degrees, and I have samples to show, and they're not damaged. So to me, we seem to be getting communication from a highly advanced civilization, and they're communicating visibly to the public in a way that an advanced civilization would do, that they won't even damage one stalk of wheat. The wheat continues to grow and is totally healthy. Actually, they're enriched. They grow healthier and faster. So
that's pretty amazing.
So and there's other indicators, but we probably can't get into everything. But the plant is not damaged, and the hoaxers, if they're using 2x4s and rope, they're damaging the plants. They are damaging. They're trespassing and damaging farmers' fields. But the genuine ones, the plant is not damaged.
So, Steve, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Arlene. Go ahead.
So overnight, someone's field, a crop circle appears, all right, and they see it. So they take pictures, and then does it go back to its normal form? Are you saying that's why it's not damaged? So if it's down, it'll pop back up?
No, they don't. They don't pop back up. They actually, all plants are phototactic. So if you would move a plant in a direction, the plant will start growing back to the sun. Crop circle plants don't do that. They defy science and and our understanding of biology and plant, they continue growing in the direction that they've been bent, which define, but the farmers can't use the crop because it's bent over and their equipment will pick it up. But some people will go out and they'll ask the farmer for permission to harvest that when it's ready. So no, it doesn't pop back up. It stays down.
That's pretty cool. I know, Steve, and I talked at length with you about this. This is one of my favorite crop circles of all times, probably because I'm an artist and I love Leonardo the Vitruvian.
But yeah, the human butterfly. So it's a symbol of transformation. And if you count, there are exactly 77 circles in that. And this is a third of a mile across. And again, it appeared very quickly. Some crop circles, less than 1%, are actually observed when they go down. And they go down without any people around, no equipment around, in a matter of a couple minutes.
Do you know that people have seen orbs, haven't they?
And if we can get to, when we get to the PowerPoint, Joanne, I have the Vitruvian man, and it resembles that human butterfly almost identically.
Wow.
I mean, it's the same proportions, the same. So Da Vinci had his Vitruvian man, and so they know our art and our history. You know, they did that intentionally.
Did you know that Vitruvio was actually an architect in the 1st century BC?
Okay. No, I didn't.
He predates Da Vinci.
So I think he was kind of portrayed as like the ideal human form, and so.
And we're all about the messages, right, Arlene? Because of what our podcast is about. Yeah, and of course, I love the design, being an artist. So, yeah. So would you like to
see if we can connect up to the PowerPoint?
Yes.
So yeah, I think we're getting. These crop circles are from a benevolent source. I think it's a privilege, and they seem to be intervening in a way that is going to assist us in our spiritual development. So it's a privilege. The indigenous have treated these as sacred for thousands of years. So we're just going to take a look. I'm going to go through some of this. Here's an angel for you, Joanne. If somebody made that with 2x4s and rope, more power to them.
Yeah,
that's more unbelievable than E.T. doing this.
Right.
And here's that woodcut we were talking about. This is from 1678 Woodshire. It shows the devil mowing the crop circle. But if you read the article, it says it doesn't say it was cut down. It says it was bent over, like crop circles we see today. But back in that day, who had the highest power? The church. If the church could not explain something, the devil did it.
Sure.
So the newspaper had to show the devil mowing down, even though the article didn't support that. So we still have kind of the same thing today. So here's what we were talking about. Here is a stalk, and it's bent 90 degrees, but as you can see, it's not snapped. It's bent without damage. So our scientists have no technology to do that. We can't do that. This is an unknown energy source. Plus it also seems to, there's cross sections of the plant. It crystallizes the plant, the stalk. The top one is the normal. The bottom one is so it can occur in trees, grass, wheat, plants. There's trees. There's ice. There's ice. This, I probably shouldn't even get into this. We at one time thought this was a geoglyph that appeared in the desert floor, but it was this. This goes back thousands of years. This is Australia, and it's got a long story. But this is one that they said, oh, construction workers, because it's 1.4 miles from the foot to the end.
Wow.
And they said, oh no, a bulldozer crew was hired by the, went out and they put that. Well, the tourist industry had seen a fainter version of this image, and they were getting afraid that that image would disappear. So they tried working with the government to get the Aborigines to give them permission to enhance it, and the Aborigines wouldn't. So then they just went over and they just hired bulldozers to desecrate and destroy this ancient geoglyph, and so it was destroyed. Now you can see it from a satellite, but before you couldn't see it.
It looks like the Egyptian image for Thor. The head is like
thought.
Oh, that's his headdress, I think. He's got a throwing stick. This is Aboriginal art.
Because it looks like.
But it was not a crop circle. Here it is from a farther distance. But we'll get into some of the complexity. This is a basket weave. The wheat is actually interwoven. So one of the things I wanted to mention was just the evolution of this. And they were originally called crop circles prior to the 1980s and earlier, because that's what they were. They were circles and dots, just like what you see here. But after about 1991, they started getting more complicated. And so today they're not circles, they're glyphs. They're very complex. Back in the 80s and before, we're having 500 to 700 crop circles appear, mostly in southern England, within about 25 miles of Stonehenge. And England is southern England is still where most of them come in. But since they're more complicated, there's not as many. But
Steve, have there been any recent ones?
Yeah. And I was going to put those in at the end, but there's been about 3 or 4 that I've noted this year.
Okay.
So here's one that appeared in the Utah desert floor. It is an exact representation of the Sri Yantra mandala. That's the basis of many Hindu temples. It's carved 3 inches deep, but there's no debris.
Wow.
There's no debris.
That's really intricate.
It's a third of a mile. There's 13 miles of this design that appeared overnight in the desert. National Guard jets would fly over it daily. They said one day it wasn't there, the next day it was there.
Wow.
But it's the basis of many Hindu temples. So around 1991, this was the first complex crop circle. These signs are relative. These are significant to indigenous. So in 91, we start getting into one of the complex forms that started showing up as fractals. This is one of the things with crop circles is that you're going to have to expand your knowledge of science, math, fractals, sacred geometry, and our own history. So in 91, we were starting to get into fractals. So Arlene, are you familiar with fractals?
No.
No, okay. So the baby course on the fractal is just a diminishing, repeating pattern. There it is. There's in its simplest form.
Okay.
It's an exploration into infinity or infinitesimal, but it's all in all of our nature. Snowflake is a perfect example. It's just a pattern that continues to go on and on and on. And here you see other examples of fractals in nature. And up until 1991, this is called the Mandelbrot fractal. He was the mathematician who came up with this. And up until that time, fractals had only ever been created on computer. Well, Science magazine in England started noticing that crop circles were getting more complicated. And at the end of one article, they said, well, what's next? A Mandelbrot. And this is what they're referring to. 1 year later, after that article came out, you had this in a field. And it's a pretty good representation of the Mandelbrot fractal. So there, Arlene, you're not familiar with fractals. Most people are not. But here we have them. Snowflakes.
Patterning, yeah.
Snowflakes. And if I skim over something that you want to spend more time on, here is a Julia set fractal, repeating, diminishing pattern. This occurred right across from Stonehenge in the middle of the day on a Saturday.
I remember that one.
Pardon?
I remember when that made the news, when that came out.
Yeah. At 4 o'clock, jets had flown over. There was nothing in the field. At a little after 5, this was there. A cab driver saw that go down, and it went down in a few minutes.
Wow.
So this is right across from a world archaeological site. Nobody saw anything early in the day, and then it was there in the middle of the day.
Steve, are you familiar with Cymatics? Which is the
Say that again.
Cymatics.
Semantics? Oh yeah.
So this is similar to that with the plate vibrating. You put sand and it just makes a formation from the vibration. So
right. Semantic, yes.
Wherever these are coming from, it's vibratory. Well, we're all vibrating, so.
I do have. I don't know if we'll get time to get to it, but I do have a video clip from Thrive magazine. It shows that there's an energy pattern in all of these crop circles, and it's not just 2-dimensional on the ground, it's 3-dimensional. It can be measured above and below the surface. So each of these has a sacred geometric pattern in it, and that goes above and below. So here's a triple Julia set. And, if people go through this and all you say is that the crop circles are beautiful, to me, that's enough. But here's a six-fold similar one.
Dragonfly,
yeah. This is not a crop circle. This is Canada, but you can see looks like a deliberate head of an indigenous person. Here's one example. Here's our solar system.
Right.
And there's been other crop circles similar. And one of this solar system crop circles, it referred to 2 possible dates in the past 100 years. One date was the date that the Wright brothers flew their first plane. The second date was the day we set foot on the moon.
Interesting.
So they're teaching us about our own history and the alignment of the planet, and we don't even know. So they're making connections that we're failing to make. So again, I said that we get into mathematics. This is a crop circle that shows pi out to 10 decimal places. So they're speaking the language of math. This is a crop circle representing Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem includes all of the diatonic ratios in music. So they're talking about math and pi. they're talking about music and Pythagoras. This is a representation for what's called Euler's equation. In the movie Hidden Figures, they referred to this. This was the equation that they needed to compute when you convert from elliptical orbital pattern to a re-entry pattern, which is hyperbola. So this was the equation that they were looking for, and it's called an investigation into deep mathematical beauty. I put this slide up in one show, and there was a math student, and he jumped out of his seat. He said, "Nobody knows about this unless you're a mathematician." So he got excited. But
wow,
here's
look at that.
magnetic patterns.
So Steve, are these progressively getting more complicated, more intricate?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Because we're reading on frequency, right?
The frequency. There's genetic patterns,
DNA,
cellular stuff. I'm going to skip through. There's 28 figures in there, so I'm going to skip through this there, but it relates to some of these are referring to the sun effect on our geomagnetic pattern of the Earth, and here's possibly one of these. Another one.
Look at that.
I mean, just beautiful, but this is often incorporated into jewelry. This is one of the really popular crop circle designs.
Like birds.
In this one too.
It almost looks like birds.
Birds and angels.
Birds or cellular mitosis.
No, well, okay.
But here, crop circles often occur right adjacent to sacred sites. This is Silbury Hill. This is first and second stage. There was a third stage of this crop circle. It's right by Whitehorse, and there's several White Horses in England. There, Silbury Hill. There is Silbury Hill in ancient, and it's a magnet. It's composed of different types of material, and once you put alternate layers, you've created a battery. And some people have measured the effect and how it changes. This is a spider web, and this occurred right outside of Avery, England. Well, Avery has the world's largest Stonehenge. It's a small town encircled by Stonehenges all around. Well, it just so happens that the spider web is exactly laying on a ley line that goes through the exact center of the village. And I'm fairly familiar with ley lines, but until this, I didn't realize they said that it was laying on a feminine ley line, which I hadn't well. And if you understand the symbology of this, spiderweb to indigenous refers to the grandmother spider, and that the web of life. And we're kind of stepping into quantum physics here, that all life is interconnected. Wow. So it's no accident that this is on a feminine ley line. And how many people would know that? Who knows that?
Yeah.
Who would create that crop circle and put all that together? It's not just about boards and rope, but
that's what I was going to say. The ley lines have got to be connected to these, because those sacred sites were built. They knew how to find those ley lines.
Yep, they knew how to sense them. So this is no accident. And if somebody created that and knew all that, well, then I'm even more impressed, because I know no humans that could create that and would know that.
Right.
So if somebody wants to say, they're two retired teachers did that, no. No, they didn't. but I'm not going to get into. I'm going to briefly scan through, but they're connected to sacred geometry, and this isn't the time. I'm not the person to go into this, but this should all look very familiar, and all of this sacred geometry is incorporated into the crop circle.
Wow.
So it's very interesting. The Platonic solids, the sacred geometry, the torus.
On the tube torus.
Yeah. The Vesica Pisces. Wow. You can see the sacred geometry in here. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I'm trying to, and this is etched. It's not carved. This is etched onto stone at the Temple of Isis in Egypt.
Right.
But you have this in a crop circle. So there's your star pattern. Here's another star pattern, sacred geometry, fractals, tree of life. You still have the sacred geometry, spirals. Now we're getting into Fibonacci sequence. So they're teaching us a whole lot. Here's our Fibonacci sequence, one of the simplest sequences. 1, 2, 3. You just keep adding the previous two numbers. That's the formula for a spiral. So there, and we see the spirals, fractals in all of nature. So they're communicating about our Earth. Oh darn! I bet you I don't have. I didn't include the one on the cannabis. Darn. And around 1997, they started getting to 3D, three-dimensional representations. They're representing squares. Here's an octagon in 3 dimensions. Here's the 12 towers, like you're looking at from the top.
Wow, that's pretty
top
cool.
Down.
Yeah.
3-dimensional cube. Another cube.
Wow.
Another image. So they get into the 3-dimensional. Okay. Well, now we'll get into one of the major. Back in the 70s, we had a unique period of time in NASA. They got into SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and that just happened to coincide. 1969, the Air Force shut down Project Blue Book. They said there's no evidence for UFOs, so they shut it down. I don't think for a second they shut it down. They just put it up to a higher level of secrecy. Instead of top secret, it's above that. But then NASA said, "Well, we're gonna search." So they started working with Carl Sagan, and in the early 70s, we had the Pioneer spacecraft, and they put on this bronze plaque to communicate to an advanced civilization that would encounter this. And it has silhouette of a man and woman. It has a silhouette of the Pioneer spacecraft on that star pattern. Those are the quasars that exist within our galaxy. So it pinpoints where Earth is within Milky Way galaxy. It says that we're on the third planet from the sun. And then we had the Voyager 1 and 2. They're still out there. They're still communicating with us from the 1970s. They're way beyond our solar system. This is the golden record. I could talk on that, but there's a lot of information.
Yeah, there's.
So, but in between Pioneer and Voyager, we started sending. Carl Sagan designed a data strip, and we sent it out from Arecibo, and this is the Arecibo radio telescope, and so we sent out all these digitized messages to nearby stars, and stars up to 15,000 light years, but on a scale of our galaxy is 100,000 miles wide, so 15,000 is kind of proximal. Right. So this Arecibo this was the world's largest radio telescope at that time in the 70s in Puerto Rico. It's some of the guy wires snapped. It's no longer functional now, has not been repaired. So according to media, according to the military, according to NASA, according to all sources, there was never any response to Carl Sagan's data strip.
Sure.
So in the year 2000, now we're looking at on the bottom of that image, you see a white tower. That's Chilbot. That's England's largest radio telescope. And there's a crop circle right adjacent to it.
That's
so
pretty.
No explanation. This by itself doesn't mean anything, but we're going to pick up what it's. This is the data strip that we sent that Carl Sagan designed. It's brilliant, communicates a lot in very little. And then this was the detail of that crop circle. So that first crop circle, this one appeared in the year 2000. 1 year later, to the day.
Oh, look at that.
And Joanne,
did you do a face earlier?
Who is that?
What this is an art form. What do you call it?
Oh my God, what do I call that? Looks like an Aryan.
It's silk screen.
That's
looks like the tour. Not that it is.
It's a girl.
Oh, they have of Christ.
It's a girl.
The
in a silk screen kind of process.
Oh, that almost like a dot.
So it's a face of a girl, silk screen, an on-earth human art process.
Oh my God.
So there we see.
There you see it now.
So we see the girl. Does my cursor show up?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So if you notice, there's Chilbot. This is 1 year later to the day. The girl's image is being projected to the radio telescope. It's not from. It's the source is sending this to Chilbot.
Oh wow!
So it's coming from off planet.
Oh, so do you think it's somebody? So you think it's somebody from off planet that's showing their face to us?
Pardon?
So it's from off planet, so it's showing its face to us.
To me, that's the way I'm interpreting it.
That it's
the image is being projected from a foreign source to the Chilbot radio telescope.
Oh,
both of these are the same.
What year was that? What year was that?
This is 2001. It's exactly a year and to the day after that other image that we saw. So you had one day this showed up, and the next day this showed up. So now let's take a look at that. That's the image. Well, that looks kind of like the Carl Sagan data strip.
Right.
Matter of fact, if we put them up, it uses the exact same Carl Sagan. One is on the right, one is on the left. Most people can guess pretty quick which one is not ours.
Yeah.
Well, the one on the right was the Carl Sagan one.
Yeah,
the one on the
right.
left
is
there.
Maybe it's Carl Sagan. Maybe he's communicating, telling us hello.
Well, that's not what the message says, but I'm going to read from top down very briefly what it says.
The message?
But the very top line says that we use a decimal system for our mathematics. They say the response circle on the left says we do the same. The next two lines say life forms on Earth are comprised of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. And they say the same, except they also added in silicon, which is above relative of carbon. Ours, below that, ours is all life forms are comprised of double helix DNA. The response circle says we're triple helix DNA.
Oh, wow.
And then the Carl Sagan one says, here shows a human form, roughly our proportions. We're about 5'9". We exist on the third planet from the sun. The response says, oh, we're 4 foot, head is kind of large, and they live on their 3rd, 4th, and 5th planet from their sun. Ours said that we had 4 or 5 billion people on the planet. They said they had 19 billion people on their planets.
Wow.
The bottom one on the Carl Sagan is a diagram of the radio telescope. The bottom one on the response circle is that first crop circle we saw. Only the crop circle was far more detailed. So somebody sent an answer. I don't believe for a second that NASA and Chilbottom didn't receive a digitized message. I'm not convinced that that didn't happen. But so I think the communicators go, well, you know, if we put this in the field, everybody in the world can see it.
That's amazing.
So you think, is that the bottom? Well, we have to kind of, I hate to do it, but we're have to kind of.
Can I just scan through a couple images and I'm all wrapped up?
Okay.
But do you?
That's the one I was looking for, right there.
Okay, that's this was the alien face, and the disc there is an ASCII2 computer language,
right?
And it says when they decoded it, beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but there still is time. Believe there is good out there. We oppose the deception. Conduit closing. So they're saying that they're trying to communicate with us, and in a benevolent way.
Wow.
But there's Joanne. Here is your. This was in Netherlands, and you can see the comparison to the Vitruvian man. Right. How closely they. So they knew Da Vinci. Some of the designs imitate the Nazca lines. So I'm winding down. You guys can go ahead and talk.
We'll have to have you back, Steve.
I know there's so many.
I love to. Yeah.
Really?
Joanne and I can chat.
Oh my gosh.
Joanne is very interested in the near-death experiences too. So that's
yeah. I had a whole episode of March.
We had several shows on that.
If you go to Beacons About our channel, and in March I had one every Wednesday. There was someone talking about near death. Yeah.
We covered Atlantis not long ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, we've been creating.
You know, I wanted to ask you, because the station, this is what we create. It's about balance, about being in balance. So what do you do for yourself to keep yourself in balance?
In balance. Well, I just anything I can do outside, you know, whether I'm playing pickleball or riding a bike or hiking around. And right across the street, there's a volcano that's 15 million years extinct. We can walk around it. There's a lake. So anything I can do, be outside, gardening, you know, just working outside. That's my connection, nature.
Yeah, that's great. So,
and any kind of group communication is like this, where we can get together and share our common interests.
Yeah, right. About sharing that knowledge, you know, so we could raise others up.
Thank you for being here. For everybody out there, thank you. Remember to be the beacons of light that you are, and shine it out into this world, because we need it. As when we looked at the crop circles, they're being shined out there for us, and there's messages. I think the bottom line of that is there's messages out there. There's miracles at every moment, but we don't see it we turn our blind eye to it. So we just have to be more open to receive and know we're not the only ones, that we're one with the whole entire globe and universe, and to lift each other up. That's what it's all about. And the bottom line, all of this is about love. And that's the driving force. So again, Steve, thank you for being. Joanne.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Joanne,
thank you, Arlene.
Do you need anything you'd like to share?
I'm just glad that we could get this together and have someone like Steve on here share his infinite wisdom.
Just say a prayer that all goes through. And for everyone, please subscribe. There's going to be a subscribe button. We'll have Steve's information below all of this, so you could check out his books and connect and so forth. And I'm sure we're going to be bringing him back on. We may have to bring him back on if this doesn't go through.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be wonderful. I'll be glad to join anytime.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
Have an awesome day.
Thank you for what you're both doing.
Good.
Thank you.